everyone. We're going to get started very shortly. Just waiting on a few more people.
Yeah.
Good?
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah. So, hey, everyone. I hope you can all hear me and everything. I'm Pi. A lot of you got to meet me on Big Pay's podcast a week ago. And if not, welcome. I'm excited to be the first to introduce you to the two other co-founders on the team for our AMA today. Reeve, you've all seen him in the chat. He's been in charge of our social media presence, our branding, and talent sourcing. And Kato has been in charge of our finances and business developments. I'll be going back and forth and asking Reeve and Kato your questions taken from the AMA questions channel. Might answer a few myself. Kato, you want to say hi?
Yeah, hey, just really quick, Pi, your mic, there's like a fan in the background.
Oh, yeah, let me go take care of that real quick.
Okay, so while he's doing that, I'll introduce myself. Hey everyone, my pseudonym is Kato. I'm one of the founders of Sundae Swap, along with Reeve. A little bit about me. My background is in finance, and I've worked in a couple startups in the past as well. We're really excited to answer all of your questions, and I've read a couple before coming on. And I saw a lot that I really liked. So I'll pass it off to Reeve for now, and then after that we can check on Pi again.
Hey guys, I'm Reeve. I'm really excited to be here tonight and answer all of your questions. I'm one of the founders of Sundae Swap. My primary roles in the project are in building and managing the teams, establishing connections with other projects, and I'm responsible for the UI UX design of the platform. A little bit about my background and past. I run two nonprofit organizations currently, and I was also the co-founder and CSO of a social media startup in the past. With that being said, I think we're ready to dive into the questions if Pi's back and he's all ready to go.
Yeah, is my audio a little bit better?
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, we've got a lot of questions in this AMA questions channel. So I'll be scrolling through here and picking out some questions to ask you guys. We have about a half an hour today to answer questions, and we, definitely won't get to all of them. There's a lot here, but there's still time to add some questions in the channel, and we'll definitely do more of these in the future. So let me try and find a good first question to ask. Let me scroll up. So yeah, how about the first question that somebody asked from Bags? How does Sundae see itself differing from other notable swaps on ADA, such as CardSwap? Kato, why don't you take this?
Yeah, so that's a really good question, Bags. So at the moment, as everyone probably knows, there's no Cardano DEX that really exists yet. So it's pretty hard to differentiate when there's no actual product out there. One thing I can say with absolute certainty, though, is that the team behind Sundae is very experienced, and in the future, in the coming weeks, we're going to be revealing them. So that should answer some future questions about anonymity and all those. Another that everyone probably knows at this point is that we have a very fast-growing community. So over the past month, we've gained about 50,000 followers on Twitter, and the Discord has obviously grown exponentially as well. And as you can probably tell from our accents, we're based in the US. So there's definitely plans to lead into the regulation aspects. As far as differentiation goes, as for the product, some innovative ideas that we've been discussing are going to be detailed in the upcoming white papers. So we'll get into those a little bit later, I assume.
Yeah.
Good?
Yeah, let me find another question for you. How about this one from Mikor? What is the staked money going to be used for? I'm assuming he's talking about the ISO. I would like to see a plan which shows that there is a plan. Kato, why don't you answer that one?
So before the ISO launch date, we were planning to release all that information anyway. To be clear, we were intending to release the amount then, and so our plans haven't really exactly changed in that regard much. So that will continue to be there.
Cool. Let me find one to toss to Reeve. From Zephant, which features will be available at launch? I think this one is a good one for Reeve to answer since he's doing our UI and UX.
Yeah, sure. So, we have a lot of ideas in our back pocket that we are looking to implement. But for our, initial launch, we want to keep things very simple and functional. So we're going to focus on main features of the classic DEX, which is the ability to provide liquidity and execute swaps using Cardano native tokens. And something, I started designing as well is a section to display the NFTs that we've given away on Twitter. So that's something that's pretty cool, in my opinion.
Awesome. Here's one from also from Mikor, it looks like. He says, should we be afraid of the same kind of exploit that have been executed against other exchanges? So I can probably take that one. So as we go into developing the DEX, our process is going to focus really heavily on verification, simulation, formal methods, and proving properties about our protocol before we ever release it into the wild. And we're going to follow that up with a really thorough auditing round. So we're reaching out to a bunch of really great auditing companies, and with a formal specification of our protocol, they can really help us answer questions or point out flaws in that protocol before it goes live, if there are any, and make sure that the code that we've implemented against that matches that as a third party. And so we hope that gives people a lot of confidence. As for this specific exploit, I haven't reviewed it, so I can't comment in detail on that. Here's one from Dopamine Dreams. I like that username. Did you guys have a pitch meeting with Charles Hoskinson? And what has the Sundae Swap team discussed with the Liquid Finance team? Kato, why don't you talk about this one?
Yeah, so we did have the opportunity to meet with Charles, and he's a great guy. He's exactly what you would expect off his YouTube videos. I'm gonna leave it there for now, and yeah, I think that's good for now.
Yeah, and I see a similar question from RJ Chuckle in the next question. What level of support, backing, and assistance, if any, do you have from IOHK? And oh no, I misread who asked one of these. But yeah, and has the Sundae team discussed anything with the Liquid Finance team?
Okay, so yeah, going back to the Liquid thing, we have opened a point of contact with them, but there's no real discussion related to any sort of partnership. Did I answer everything? Hi?
Yeah, I think so.
Something? Okay.
Yeah. Here's one. RJ Chuckle asked a bunch of them, and I can't ask all of these, so I'm gonna drop one. I'll pick one. When will we see the updated technicals, such as the white papers? Reeve, you want to talk about the timeline for that?
Yeah, sure. So, as you guys know, we're planning on releasing a series of white papers actually. So, our first one is going to be about outlining the problem space as well as the 4 to 5 models that we're considering for the actual protocol itself. The 4 to 5 models will be covered in future white papers, but the first one that we're planning on releasing will be about the problem space, which will be published on June 1st.
Cool. Yeah, and I'm working hard on writing those right now. Let's see. Let me scroll down and find another good question. Here's one from Ipe. Will Sundae Swap take potential profit from rise in price of my ADA, or will they only take my 5% staking rewards? So I'm assuming this is about the ISO again. Reeve,
Yeah.
what you want to talk about the ISO?
Yeah, sure. So if you're participating in the ISO, your Cardano that you're staking can't be touched by anybody from the team, and it'll stay safe in your wallet essentially for the whole entire time you're staking. with us, and this is something that's designed by IOHK themselves, so it's completely secure. The only thing that you're actually going to be contributing to Sundae Swap is your staking rewards, and from which we'd be taking a percentage of that.
Cool. I saw this question from No Dally Dude that I liked. It's very technical, so I'll take this one. How are you deriving your market maker function? Like, what will be the formula? And are there other protocols you're looking to for inspiration? So we, like Reeve mentioned, we're going to have some white papers coming out that talk about kind of some of our thought process. But we're starting from a position of a constant product function. This is similar to kind of several other protocols that are out there. And then on top of that, there are a number of things that we can layer in that improve that function in different ways to, increase liquidity or lower price slippage. The final decision for what we make is going to be based off of simulation and like the various properties that we can prove about that. I kind of mentioned earlier, the mechanisms of formal methods and stuff. But like some of the ideas that we're investigating are some of the concentrated liquidity pools that you see in certain protocols and different functions to account for stable pairs. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. It's a little bit technical, but I always like getting into the technicals. Let me look for another one. Here's a nice simple one from Mikor. How does Sundae Swap earn money? So Kato, why don't you talk about this one?
Yeah, so like most dexes and exchanges in general, there are a number of ways to earn money. But the way that we're planning on at first is just the most simple, taking fees on the trades. And then as the protocol expands, we'll think about other ways as well. But that's the main way.
I see a couple questions, and I've seen this, in our general chat as well. Will there be merch? We've got really great branding, yeah. Kato, why don't you talk about that?
I love this question. So to be clear, at the beginning we were planning on launching merch, and it's an idea that we've been playing around, but we're kind of weary about it coming off as a cash grab if we launched it too early. So the plan right now is to wait for the version 1 protocol to come out when we have a working swap available, and then from there we were thinking about like limited edition stuff coming out. So like hoodies, plushies, t-shirts, things like that. And then we can probably go from there.
Yeah, I for one want my Sundae hoodie or something. Here's a question from Swamp Fox 1474. If your fundraising is more popular than expected, multiple pools getting saturated, etc., could you use that to expand the team and speed up development or deployment instead of returning more ADA to stakers? So this is a really good question, and the concept of saturation is one that we've thought about a lot in kind of the technicals. And really, it's one of the things that surprised us about Sundae Swap is that we had such an aggressive community. When we first launched this, we were expecting to get, our ambitions were a half-saturated pool, and that would kind of fund our operations. We can increase that, and there's a saying that more cooks in the kitchen don't make a better stew, and so we don't necessarily want to kind of aggressively expand the team when we don't have things for them to do. And so we don't want to rush the development of the platform. And but beyond that, we are definitely looking at all of that, and we have some ideas around how to address pool saturation in particular. I mentioned some of these on Big Pay's podcast around changing how we calculate rewards, putting a cap or calculating it with diminishing returns. We've thought about spinning up more pools. We've thought about trying to find partnerships for other stake pool operators to run kind of branded pools. So we have a variety of ideas there that We'll talk about more when we get to the ISO itself. Let me find another question. Here's one from Gunstavam. I hope I said that right. Where is the Sundae swap roadmap? Cato, why don't you talk about this?
So, I mean, you can find a brief and truncated version of it on Gitbook, but the detailed roadmap of everything there will be released on June 1st. With the launch of the first white paper, you'd say.
Yeah.
So
cool.
that's a week from now, just so you don't have to check your calendars. Next Tuesday.
Here's one from Chinton. We know the ISO has been delayed for Sundae swap, but is there a new target date planned? That kind of relates to your what you were just saying. Why don't you answer that too?
So, I mean, we're in the process of having those internal discussions, but we're releasing it on June 1st, and that's when we release the detailed roadmap and timeline.
Cool. I'm just trying to find another question here. From I Forgot. When will the token become unpegged from the 8-cent price? Will it list on any other exchange prior to the launch of the DEX? Reeve, why don't you talk about that one?
Yeah, so initially we came up with the 8-cent valuation just based off of outsider interest. At this moment in time, I can't really think of a reason that it would stay pegged at that price. But yeah, we don't have really any plans to list it on any exchanges, and yeah, we think that the first time that you guys would be it would be available for you guys to purchase directly would be from the swap itself.
Okay, cool. I noticed there was a question earlier directed directly at me, so I'll answer that one now. RJ Chuckle asks, to Quantemplation, what happened to Presser Act? Seems like a pretty neat idea. And I just got to say, you have definitely done your research. For those of you who don't know, Presser Act was a previous startup play of mine back in 2011. Me and kind of some college friends started a media startup. On that one, we had a working product, but we just kept failing to get people using it. The people who used it liked it, but new people didn't really want to use it. And that was one of the things that really excited me about Sundae Swap early on, is that we have a really eager community to start using it really early on. And now we just need to deliver on a product. And I'm really confident in our ability to do that. And I know that you guys will really like what we give you. Here's a question from Chinton again. Can you share your GitHub? Reeve, why don't you answer that one?
Yeah, so we've had a lot of questions about our GitHub and our work behind the scenes, and we're planning to do that, but not particularly at this point. But we can assure you by launch date, everything will be open for the community to see.
Yeah,
And
and I'll
also,
also, go ahead.
just to add, the most of developers' public GitHubs are available. If you guys want to check that out as well.
I'm just scanning for some more questions. Here's one from Matthew. When is the white paper planned to be released? Cato, why don't you talk about this one?
Yeah, so I mean, I think I briefly touched on it a couple times in previous questions, but June 1st again is when we're planning to release the first white paper. We'll be releasing a series of them. But June 1st, next week, next Tuesday, 1 week, 7 days from now will be the first. And it's so to give a rough layout, it's gonna be highlighting the problem space and setting a groundwork for the future white papers. So it's gonna be like the white paper's white paper, if you could say that.
Here's another one from our talkative Mr. RJ Chuckle. People talk of Sundae Swap being a rug pull or a scam, and that you'll make off like bandits with 100% of our staking rewards. What assurances and guarantees can you give the community that this isn't the case? Cato, I think you're a pretty good person to answer this question.
Okay, yeah. So first off, we'll be revealing the team's identities in the next couple weeks. So that should give most people pretty good assurance that we're not just in it, for the short term. Um, so before to even expand on that, like before the launch of the ISO, before we ask for any funding, the entire team is going to be public. So again, to touch on like a previous point that I mentioned, um, if there were any nefarious actions, the U.S. government would not be very happy with us because, as you can probably tell by my accent and the way I talk, I'm American. So we're gonna have a lot of really good reasons to deliver on that. Yeah, I think that's pretty good.
Yeah. Here's a fun one. Crypto Overlord asks, "What's your favorite food besides Sundae?" Reeve, what's your favorite food?
Uh, hmm, that's a good question. I'd say probably a bacon avocado cheeseburger.
Mm. Um, Here's one from. I'm kind of just scrolling up and down and seeing which ones catch my eye. Here's one from The Hammer. I believe that our money being on the line outweighs any reasoning your team may have to remain anonymous. So my question is, what are the underlying principles as to why your team decides to remain anonymous? Kato, you kind of touched on that in your previous question. Why don't you kind of elaborate on that a little bit more?
Yeah, so just to give you guys some context, Sunday Swap blew up way faster than we expected. Um, we eventually hoped that it would get to this size, but not this quickly. One thing to note is that you can go from being anonymous to public, but you can't necessarily do it the other way around. Um, so recently, we've had some pretty intense discussions within the team. Realized that staying anonymous isn't really viable, and we're going to be, uh, you know, giving away our identities, I guess you could say, in the next couple weeks.
Here's a good question from J1Z0. What's the stake pool name? Reeve, you want to talk about this?
Yeah, so you know, there is no stake pool name yet. Obviously, we're going to be releasing the updated date for the ISO on June 1st, alongside all our other updates with the white paper and roadmap. So yeah, just to confirm, any other stake pools out there that have Sunday swap, Sunday anything in them are fake and they're fully scams, and you won't get anything from them. So do not delegate to them.
Here's another fun question from Crypto
Actually,
Overlord.
could I
Wait, go
could
ahead.
I could I say something really quick? Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. I was looking in the questions chat and I saw one that from Mr. Poopy Butt. Uh, what will Sunday's main purpose be? A currency within the DEX. When do you think we'll be able to utilize our Sunday? So we're still working on the tokenomics of that. And we're once all those aspects are finalized, we're going to be releasing that. One thing that we've learned in the past and that we don't want to keep doing again is releasing details when they're not completely finished. Um, that's resulted in some blowback and something that we're just going to get everything right before and then we'll release it.
Okay, cool. Um, Here's another fun one to break it up from Crypto Overlord. Kato, Reeve, are you guys dog people or cat people?
Dog for me.
I'm a dog guy as well.
And then I'll answer. I'm both, but I grew up with cats. So I do love dogs, but I grew up with cats. Um, here's a tough one from Ninuendo. What was one of the unexpected challenges of this project, and which part of Sunday development turned out to be way more complicated than expected? How did you manage the situation? Kato, why don't you talk about that one?
Okay, yeah, that's actually one of the ones that I was reading before this started that I really hope that you would get to. So it would honestly be easier to say what part of this launch was expected rather than unexpected at this point. Um, but just to briefly touch, the first part is that we didn't anticipate growing and managing the community to be as time consuming or challenging as it was. It turns out kind of counterintuitively that the that part of launching is way more complicated than a lot of the technical stuff. That says a lot. So something like, I'll give an example. Something recent we weren't prepared for was the understanding of the Cardano community with things like delays. In those communities, you kind of get ripped to shreds if you delay something. Like if Apple was to delay their iPhone, there would be blood in the streets with people so angry. So whereas the community genuinely doesn't care about how long it takes, it seems. So that's something we've learned. Again, just to like briefly touch on a previous point, there's more value in doing things right compared to rushing it to get it done.
Here's one from Titan. When would a public coin offering be available for anyone not partaking in your stake pools? They suggest maybe after Guggen or smart contracts. Reeve, why don't you talk about that one?
Yeah, so like I said before, anyone who does not want to participate in the stake pool and want to buy the token directly, you can just wait for the swap itself to launch, and you'll be able to get the tokens through there.
Cool. I see a couple of people asking, I didn't see any Haskell commits on your GitHub. What collective Haskell engineering experience do you have on the team? So I'll take that one. So if you actually look back, I did build a small Haskell library back in 2013. I've been playing around with Haskell since then. I do have a couple other projects that unfortunately have to remain private because I worked on them under conditions that I'm not allowed to publish them. And one of the things that I worked on last year that I just never put up on my GitHub. Maybe I'll do that later today. During the pandemic, I worked on a algorithmic trading bot written in Haskell that could connect to Binance and Coinbase. I never actually wrote any trading logic, but I wrote all of the testbed for it to kind of perform. Yeah, hopefully that answers your question. I see another one here. We've got a few minutes left, so just maybe one or two more questions. Can you guys speak to your startup experience and experience in tech startups? Reeve, why don't you start that one, and then I can also talk about that one.
Yeah, sure. So, like I said in my introduction, I've had some experience with a social media app startup. I managed a team of 6 or 7 people, and the startup really didn't get anywhere eventually. But I do have experience managing teams and just strategizing on where to take the startup in a business aspect. At the current moment, I do manage a team of over 20 researchers, and I'm actually involved in like STEM research, and we do STEM publications every 2 weeks or so.
Awesome. And then, like I was mentioning earlier, I did a startup play with some people back in college. It was a team of 5 people, and we were trying to build. Our pitch back then was we were trying to do for the news industry what iTunes did for the music industry, and the idea was really great and the product that we built was really great, but we just kind of couldn't find our market. And yeah, since then I've led big teams at. I worked at NYU. I worked at a subsidiary company of ADP. They build payroll and HR software. I led, I think, sometimes up to 3 different teams there at once with up to 20 people. And now I work somewhere where I lead a team of, I think, 18 people, not all of them engineers, but kind of building products there. So we're about done. I'll find one more fun question to kind of end us off. So VSky Squared has the answer. Asks, pop or soda? So Reeve and Cato, why don't you answer that one?
I'm a soda man.
Yeah, I'm a soda man.
You can't say pop.
Yeah, I say soda, but I did grow up in an area that said pop. But I've moved around a lot, so some of my linguistics are really bizarre. Cool. Yeah, you were gonna say something?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess I can just end it off, but I see a question in the chat that keeps coming up. I'm just going to read it off. With a bunch of projects similar to yours, what makes you competitive to the rest? What does your project have that others don't? So really clear, being really clear about this. That was one of the first questions we asked. So if you want a little bit more in depth, then when the recording is up, we'll just tag everyone and you can watch the recording back. But the basic, I guess I can just reiterate. So the main point is that no Cardano dexes really exist yet. So it's hard to differentiate when there's no product out there. But you know, the fast growing community, our experienced team that we're excited to release in the coming weeks, and then also the white papers, the first of which that will be announced on Tuesday, is gonna help a lot and really solidify that point for you guys. But ending off, we're a little bit over the time limit, so I think that's all we have time for today. Thank you, everybody. This has been great, and we really appreciate the support and encouragement we've gotten from the community recently. And to let you guys know, we're always open to criticism, so tell us on Twitter where we're going wrong, and we'll take a look at it. So there are definitely going to be more screw-ups in the future, so you guys are going to have to bear with us. And please, if there are any other questions, participate in the chat, and then our community managers will help you guys out. And we're also very active in the chat as well, so we'll get to them eventually. Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thanks. Have a good night, everyone.
Yep.
Thank you guys.